Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Jordan 1 Take 3. So this is Russell Westbrook's takedown model, or his budget model, and it's going for $100. The Westbrook 1 Take 1 was actually very nice. The Jordan 1 Take, they changed the name from Westbrook 1 Take to Jordan 1 Take, but anyways, the 2 was not very nice. I didn't really like it all too much, and then now here is the 3. It's $100, so if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box, but let's get started off with the tracciones. And as far as the traction goes, we have a pretty interesting pattern. So we have a dual colored outsole here. So on the lateral side of the shoe here, we have herringbone, and then on this black part we have, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like maggots or like worms or something. I don't know, it's kind of nasty. We have the Jordan logo here, and it also says Air Zoom in the forefoot, as well as Russell Westbrook's logo here. And also, as we can see here in the midfoot, it is decoupled. You know, the rubber outsole is not connected from the forefoot to the heel, and it also is further decoupled down, I guess, this way, with this kind of like lightning bolt pattern going down the heel. So how does the traction feel so far on my wood floors? It feels pretty nice. The bite seems good, and there is a little bit of a squeak, just a tiny bit. I would say it's mostly silent. I don't know why, but my right pair was squeaking a little bit more, or actually my left pair wasn't squeaking at all, and then my right pair was squeaking just a tiny bit. Hopefully when I break it in, it does get a little bit squeakier. And as far as the durability goes, the durability here on the lateral side seems very good where the gray part is, but the black part is pretty soft. The grooves are thin, so that makes the rubber a lot more pliable, especially when you're pressing it down with your fingernail. So here on the medial side, that's where you're gonna put a lot of the force. So I feel like they should have changed up the pattern a little bit. The herringbone should have been here with the thicker grooves, and then this pattern that's a little bit softer should have been on the lateral side where there's not as much pressure. But anyways, there is the outsole there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels pretty damn smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a very nice curve shape, as you guys can see, and then we have a pretty much a fully exposed midsole. You know, it's not like caged or anything, and the foam is pretty soft, which we'll get into. Here in the forefoot, we have a nice curve shape as well, and look at that. I mean, there's not a whole lot of forefoot flex. I mean, there is a little bit, but the flex is mostly here in the middle of the shoe, which is pretty interesting, right? That made me a little bit worried, especially for torsional support. But when you look underneath the insole, you can see that the stroke board is white, and then in the midfoot we can see a black plastic midfoot shank plate, or that's what I'm guessing it is. But anyways, the heel to toe transition seems pretty damn smooth. Now moving on to the cushioning setup. So here, as far as the foam goes, we got a full length Phylon is what I'm guessing it is, and it's actually quite nice. You know, Jordan brand softens up their Phylon for some reason, especially comparing it to like Nike's more budget shoes, where Nike's budget shoes are just like super stiff, right? But here in the 1 Take 3, it's pretty soft, especially here in the heel. So when you put weight in the heel, there is a good amount of compression. It feels quite soft and also comfortable, so that feels pretty damn nice. And there is a top-loaded zoom unit here in the forefoot, and that also feels really nice. The shape feels like it's like the same shape that's found in like the PG2 and the PG3. It doesn't feel like the rectangular shape, you know, that really thin rectangular shape that Nike sometimes uses. But that's just a guess right now. But in the forefoot, it definitely feels really nice. You can feel the compression from the zoom unit, and also like that bounce back, you know, because the zoom unit has a lot of air pressure. Court feel also seems like it's going to be very good. So the cushioning setup I'm liking so far. You know, although it's pretty basic, I feel like they implemented it very well, and overall I feel like I'm gonna enjoy the cushioning setup. Hopefully it doesn't bottom out too much here in the heel, but it's Phylon, so I'm betting that it does. All right, moving on to the material. So we have here in the toe box some fuse. Look at that. We got a good amount of fuse here, and that's of course gonna add support and also improve the durability if you do toe drags. And then here in the rest of the toe box, and also extending here into the midfoot area, we have a screen mesh material, but it doesn't feel like a screen mesh. Usually screen mesh feels like a little bit wiry, more like they're using kind of like a metal material in most of the screen meshes that I've seen. But here in the 1 Take 3, it feels more like a plastic kind of screen mesh, but either way, it's super thin. It's also see-through. You can see my finger through this upper, that's how thin it is as well. You know, it's an extremely thin material. Look at that, especially here in the toe box and also here in the midfoot. Just take a look at how thin this material is. I actually really like it. I mean, for quality, of course, it's $100, so you can't really complain that it feels cheap and also kind of looks cheap, you know, just to the eye, but on foot it's extremely minimal. It's super thin. I love how it conforms to your foot, especially when you're kind of like bending your toes a little bit. That feels great. Also here in the tongue, we have very minimal padding. Like there's also almost no padding on the tongue. And then here in the ankle area, there's not a whole lot of padding either. Besides here in the back of the heel, where there is a good amount of padding for your Achilles. Also, the tongue is a half booty construction tongue, so it attaches to a material that goes underneath, kind of like this screen mesh material. So this material is extremely thin. I really like how it feels on foot. And right now, I pretty much have no problems with it, I guess, besides the quality. Here on top of the tongue, we got the Russell Westbrook logo, and here in the back, we got the Jordan Jumpman logo. As far as the lacing system goes, here for like the first couple of eyelets, we have some straps. So the laces go through these straps, acting as eyelets, and the strap goes all the way down here into the midfoot. So when you do tighten the laces, it gives you extra support, but it's not free-flowing, so it's pretty much stitched to the upper, so it doesn't move independently, but I still feel like it'll definitely help with support. Moving on to the supporting lockdown, I feel like it's gonna be pretty good. You know, here in the forefoot, we got this fuse. And this fuse is pretty thin and it's very easily movable, but it's definitely better than nothing, I feel like. So we'll see how the forefoot holds up for lateral containment. Here in the midfoot, we got the foam coming up, and here in the heel, we got the foam coming up, and there is an internal TPU heel counter. So I feel like lateral containment is going to be overall pretty good. Just a little bit worried about the forefoot here, just a tiny bit. As far as the lateral stability goes, I mean, lateral stability usually in the Westbrook or the Why Not line hasn't been the best, you know, especially here in the Why Not 0.4, there's really no outrigger, and then the midsole doesn't really protrude out all too much either. So let's actually see which one's wider. Oh, actually, yeah, the 1take3 is a little bit wider, I would say, maybe like 5 to 7 millimeters wider. There definitely is a little bit of an outrigger right here. Let's check it with the 0.3 actually. It's also a little bit, just a tiny bit thicker than the 0.3. So hopefully the lateral stability is good here in the 1take3. I don't think there's gonna be like a whole lot of issues with it. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. I mean, I was actually very surprised when I first opened the box and then took the shoe out. I was like, yo, this shoe is extremely light and it feels really light in hand. And like I said, the material feels super minimal. There's very little padding in the entire upper as well. So I'm guessing it's gonna be like even maybe 9 ounces, 9-10 ounces. Yeah, so 10.26 ounces, that's extremely light. Let's check the left pair. So 10.23 ounces, so pretty much the same weight between the left and right pair. But yeah, 10.2 ounces is extremely light. And remember the 0.1 where it was like 14-15 ounces, and then the 0.2 is also pretty damn heavy. The 0.3, they definitely lightened it up, but I feel like it was like average weight. Yeah, so 12.24, and then the 0.4, if I remember correctly, they made it a little bit lighter. Yeah, so 11.82. So, of course, I mean, the 1take3 isn't Russell Westbrook's signature shoe, but Russell Westbrook has been wearing this shoe, this specific colorway as well, in his games for the last like 2 or 3 games, I believe. And I feel like he's been liking it, and he hasn't really been playing the 0.4, he's been playing the 0.3 as well. Hopefully though, it is a responsive shoe. That of course is heavily determined by the traction. If the traction is bad, you're not gonna feel very quick in it. So hopefully the traction is good, everything else is feeling pretty damn good. And also hopefully the forefoot lateral containment is good as well. If it is, then the shoe is going to be a very light and responsive shoe. Alright, moving on to the fit, I went true to size and it fits me pretty well. So lengthwise, my foot literally goes right to the edge of the shoe. So hopefully I don't experience any toe banging when I'm playing, and if I do experience that, definitely in the performance review, I'm going to tell you guys to go up half a size, right? As far as the width goes, it runs normal. Here in the toe box, it is snug here, but then for some reason, at the edge of the toe, like where I guess like the beginning of your toenails are, it gets a little bit roomier, just for me personally. So I wish they would have made it a little bit tighter just in this area. Not a huge deal, just nitpicking at that point. But I feel like most people will be good, true to size. As far as the aesthetics go, it's not bad. You know, I actually kind of like it. It reminds me a lot of the Why Not 0.3 actually. And it just has the same overall design language in the midsole, you know, with the spikes coming up. You got that here on the lateral side as well as here on the medial side on the 1take3. it doesn't really take a whole lot of design cues from the 0.4, I don't think. But definitely it is a very chaotic design. There's a whole lot going on in the midsole, in the upper, you know, on the outsole as well. I feel like that's just what Russell Westbrook likes in his designs, just a very polarizing, very different design where it's just like, yo, that looks kind of weird but kind of dope at the same time, you know? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the One Take 3 is looking pretty good. You know, I wore it around, cushion is feeling nice, material feels really thin. It feels overall supportive so far, and the thing that I like the most so far about the shoe is how light and minimal the shoe feels, especially on foot. Of course, we'll have to see on the traction. Hopefully it's top tier. But other than that, you know, I'm liking the shoe a lot so far. But anyways, that about concludes my first impressions on the Jordan One Take 3. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.